Okay, so I think we are live. Let me just check it in. Okay, here we are. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the second day of Node.js Essentials. And today I somehow fixed my camera, so you will be able to see me. Actually, the fact is like I have recently relocated to a new city, so that's why I'm just going through like relocation phase. So yeah, good evening, good evening. And before starting, let me just tell you, we have covered the introduction part of JavaScript and Node.js in the yesterday's session, and today I will be covering about the basic of JavaScript only. So today we are just going to learn about some of the core concept of any programming language that would be very helpful for us to create an application for our server. So just do let me know that if you are able to see my screen, and let me just fix my like what we say, yeah, theme. So here we are. So just do let me know that if everything is visible to you and audible also. That's great. And also like I will be giving you a quick recap like what we are going to do. Let me start my pen as well. Okay, so here we have our pen. So today basically like yesterday what we did, we just to came to know about like what is JavaScript. So it's a programming language, and by using some programming language we can basically create some applications and all. So here we are going to create a application with JavaScript. For that we need a Node.js because JavaScript cannot run outside of a browser. So to execute JavaScript outside of a browser, we basically require Node.js. So that we covered in the yesterday's session. And today basically we are going to do the practical stuff. So yesterday we just do a little bit of most of the theory and introduction and all. So today we are going to only gonna be focusing on the practical stuff, no theory at all. So like real stuff. Okay, so not visible, screen is not visible. Okay, so cam angle is not proper. Okay, so it's so difficult for me to change my cam angle right now because it's already set, and as I told you, like I'm just relocating. Okay, okay, so I have to zoom. Yeah, sure, I will. Yeah, I will. Don't worry about that. I will zoom. So let me just close this as well, and let's just go over here. Okay, so let me just fix my screen issue. I think my camera is not proper here, so let me just fix my camera as well. Hmm. Okay, so I've fixed my camera and let me just start my screen sharing. Okay, okay, let me do that. Yep. So is it visible? Okay, is it visible to you? Like that's, I hope it is. Let's just go with that. Okay. Yeah, because I can see in the screen as well that my face is visible and now my screen is as well. Okay, so let's start with our programming. So let's just create a new file. So here basically I have created a new folder. So I have created a new folder called day2, as you can see here. And inside this day2 folder, I have a file. Okay, so I have created a file app.js. You can just check it here as well. So if I open this folder, so I have created a app.js file. So app.js, you can name this file anything, but I just prefer to go with the name app because it sounds a little bit cool. So I just go with that only. And here, let me just give you a little quick recap like what we did yesterday. So yesterday I just told you about some variables and all. So what is this variables? So if you want to store a value, so what are those values? Like this 10 is a value, 20 is a value, any decimal number is also a value, and also a name like this is also a value. So if you want to store a value somewhere, so it's just like assigning a name to a value so that basically we can reuse it after some time. So for that we have two ways to declare a variable. First way is let name of your variable could be anything. So name of my variable equals to, and the value could be anything, so I'm just going with the 100. That's great. And now I can basically console.log it. Yeah, and instead of like 100, I can just replace it with the name. Yeah, instead of this 100, I can basically replace it with, oh okay, my god, Okay, yeah, that's great. So basically, instead of this 100, I can use just this variable name. So this is the basically use of a variable, but basically we do that for a lot of purposes. So it's a very core basic, like very core basic of any programming language. So if I just execute my program, so I'm just opening my terminal, and to execute a program, what we do, node space app.js and press enter. Okay, I think I misspelled here. Okay, and here we got 100 as output. That's great about the variables. Now by the way, I will take it as like you already know about little bit of programming, so I'm just going to be like clean sweeping this part. Yes, I'm not going to be in the I'm not going to repeat these things again and again, because I will assume that you are coming like you know a little bit of programming already. It could be like any other program language, it doesn't matter. If it is JavaScript, it's really good, but if it's another programming language, that's completely fine. And let's just go, and next step, I'm going to tell you about something called conditional statements. For that, we have like something called if and else. So what is this conditional statement? Suppose if you want to execute a line of code only for a certain condition. So if I just do a console.log hello world here, yeah, hello world here, and if I do a console.log, okay, and let me just create a variable here also, let a equals to 10. And if I do a console.log of a here, so what is the output I'm going to get? I'm going to get the output hello world, and after that I'm going to get the output of 10. Why? Because program will always will execute from top to bottom. So first this line will get execute, so you will get this output, and after that this line will get execute, and after that this line will get execute. Suppose you want to skip a line in the between, in that case we basically use the if else statement. So for like the one of the most proper use case of it, so if I just create a if I just have a variable here, let age equals to 19. Okay, so I just want to console.log if a you are eligible to vote, you are an adult. Okay, adult, or console.log you are a minor, you are a minor. Okay, so depending on some of the condition, I want to only execute any of these line. Yes, if I do run my code right now, so I'm just getting both the outputs. So I'm getting you are an adult and you are an minor both, but I just want to have a single output here. So either it could be adult or a minor depending on the value of this variable. Yeah, so in that case, what we have called some like conditional statements. So for that, I will just type here if age is greater than 18. In that case, I want to execute this line. In that case, I want to execute this line. Yeah, and else I want to execute this line. Isn't it simple? Like simple if and else. So if the age is greater than 18, just execute this line, otherwise just execute this line. So if this line is like true and false, that's easy. So if I just do a console.log of here, so in that case I'm just getting the output you are an adult. Okay, so I'm getting you are an adult. Let me just move it here. So as I think some of you were unable to see the screen yesterday, the output, so I'm just going to move the output in the second part. So let me just do the output here. Yeah, node app.js. So we are getting output you are an adult. Yeah, we are getting output this. Okay, so now what is this greater than symbol is? Like what is this greater than symbol or lesser than symbol? It completely depends how you are looking at it. So by the way, just let me just go through the chat once again. Okay, sir, int is a way to declare a variable. Suraj Rajput, basically int is a way to declare a variable in C or C++, like in other program language. But in the JavaScript, it's very easy. So JavaScript is very easy. So I'm just going to cover like all the basic stuff in a quick glance. Yeah. Okay, that's great. Okay, let's just move on to the next part. Okay, suppose you want to have a multiple output. Okay, so in default case, if this condition is true, like if this condition is true, only single line will get execute after it. Yeah, only single line will get executed after it. Similarly, in the else case, if this condition is false, only a single line will get executed after this. So if you want to have multiple line executed, just make these brackets and type your line of code inside of these brackets. Okay, so this is called a block. So you can basically create a block, and now I can do like multiple lines of statement here. Okay, so if I just do here, you are an adult and you are eligible. Okay, I think I have misspelled my eligible to vote. Okay, okay, and console.log, you are not allowed to vote. Okay, that's great. So basically what I wanted, I just wanted to have like multiple lines of code if this condition is true. In that case, I have to like make these brackets, yeah, these curly brackets. Otherwise, you could only execute single line of code. So now I'm getting you are an adult and you are eligible to vote. That's great. And JavaScript is very easy. It's similar to any other programming language. Okay, so now the question arrives, like what is this greater than symbol is? So it's called basically operator. And what is this operator is? So let me just go through some of the mathematical stuff. So if I create a variable a, and let me just create another variable b. Okay, so if you want to add these variables, so what you can do, a plus b, you can just do a plus b. Now this is, we are basically performing an operation on some variables, on some values basically. So that's why this plus is performing some of the operations on these values. That's a basically we call it a operator. So we have multiple operators, and you need not to like remember all these definitions and terminologies. It's completely fine. Just the thing that you basically know how these thing actually works. So now the thing is, basically we are performing basically an operation over a variable a and b. Now basically we can save it on another variable. So if I just do a console.log of a plus b, I will get the output 30. Obviously it's a very basic mathematics, so I am getting output 30 here. Okay, that's great. So what if I just go over here, and we can basically save this result in some another variable a plus b. Now instead of typing a plus b here, I could just do c here. So now we are expanding the use cases of variables. So you don't have to like you don't only have to store a direct value on a variable like we are doing here. You can also save some operations on a variable. So whenever this operation will get executed, the result will get saved in this variable. Okay, so this was all about some operators, and we have multiple operators. As let me just tell you about some of the operators. Like we have multiple operator, like multiplication operator. So okay, so to multiply two numbers, we will use this multiplication operator. So we are getting 200 here. Then we have subtraction, then we have division. Okay, so all these are called the arithmetic operators. Then we have something called logical operators. So this is a logical operator, greater than. Okay, so now what is, like a is greater than b, isn't it or not? So a is 10 and b is 20. So a is greater than b? No, it's not. So the value of this will be false. Okay, so if I do a console.log of c, what I'm going to get, a value of false. So if I show you, I'm getting false here. Yeah, so false is again false and true. These are two very special variable values basically. So you can just store these values in some variables. So I can do that as also. So let sum equals to true. Okay, this true and false, these are also some values. Okay, true and false. So true and false, these are two values. So what is the output of this thing? So a is 10 and it's greater than b 20. No, it's not. So we are getting output of false. And what if I just switch it? What if I switch it? So now what we are showing here, a is lesser than b. So b is 20, a is 10. So I think you can guess the output. It's going to be true. So just to check, I'm just going to log it out for you. Okay, so yeah, we are getting true here. So basically we have covered like all the operators here. So these are the some of the operators that we are going to use while developing application. So we needed variables, we needed some like what we say conditional function, what to say, conditional statements, and all. For that I just told you about the if else. Then we have such a case also, but in our application we will be just needing about the if and else, and some of the operators like greater than, lesser than. Okay, and that's more than enough. Again, just do let me know in the chat, like if you understood everything. It was really very basic, so I don't feel like if you have some of the doubts here. But if in any case, if you have any doubt, just do let me know in the chat so that I will cover, and then I will move to the next part. So in the next part, I will tell you about something called functions, because functions are very very important when you were in basically in the JavaScript. Functions are very very important. Okay, that's great. So we got a response. What is LAT? So can you just do it a full form of LAT? Okay, so what are the style you are using VS Code? So basically I'm using a different type of font for my VS Code. Okay, what is let? Yeah, what is let? So let is if you want to declare a variable. So if you are coming from like a language called C or C++, in that case, what we used to do, int a equals to 10. Remember, int a equals to 10. So this a is going to be a number type. So data type of this a is going to be number. Yeah, and similarly, but in the JavaScript is dynamically typed. You don't have to mention what is the type of the variable. Just type let. Okay, let a equals to 20. Now a will be automatically will be an integer. Okay, you don't have to like tell it that it's going to be integer, that we have to use to do in C or C++ or Java also. And also if I just make it a string, so you can also make it a string, so some like sentence and all. So if you want to save some sentence, just wrap it around these codes. So now it is going to be string type. So it's dynamically typed language. JavaScript is dynamically typed language, so you don't have to mention the data types of the variables right in there. So that's why we use let here. Okay, and also we have something called const and var, that I'm going to tell you, but let me just move to the next part for right now. Okay, so let's just assume a case that we have two variables called a and b. Okay, let a and b. Again we are going with the a and b because it's like ये सबसे best भी होता है ये सब explain करने का. Okay, so let's suppose we have like a c equals to a plus b. Okay, so suppose you want to add multiple numbers again and again. Okay, so suppose we have like, you have like thousands of variables d 30. Okay, then you have e40. So suppose you have multiple thousands of values, and like you want to do addition again and again. Yeah, and you don't want to write this code again and again. In that case, what we can do, we can basically create a function. So what is this function? So function is our regular code. Yeah, it's our regular code that is wrapped inside a block and that we can execute again and again. Let me just show an example. It's very easy, by the way. So let me just create a variable called let a equals to 10. Okay, let b equals to 20, and let c equals to a plus b. That's great. So if I do a console.log of c, what I'm going to get, let me just type here also result. Okay, result is c. So we are getting result is 13. By the way, let me just clear it because it's very bhara bhara. Okay, here. So we are getting the output only single time. Okay, okay, only 30. Now if I just want to execute these 4 lines of code again and again, yeah, like multiple times, so what I will do, I will create a function. So let me just create a function for you guys. So for that type function, okay, function, it will let JavaScript know that you are going to create a function. Okay, then after that you have to name your function. So in that case, I will just create my first function, TION. Okay, okay, and after that use simple brackets. Yeah, these are simple brackets, and after that have these curly brackets, and press enter. And now you can copy paste all of your code inside of it. Okay, so I have pasted my code inside of it and save it. Okay, so I have saved it. So now what I have done, I have created a function. Yeah, so I have basically created a function, and the name of the function is my first function. So if I just execute my program again here, so we are not getting any output. Like previously we were getting the output 30 here, like this result is 30, but right now we are not getting. Why? Because after creating a function, we need to call our function. Yeah, without calling a my function, you won't be able to execute these 4 lines. So if you want to execute these 4 lines, you can basically go down here and you can just type the name of your function, and after that just use these brackets. So here basically we are calling our function, calling function, and here basically we were after defining our function, like what our function is going to do. Okay, that's great. And now if I go to my terminal, and if I just execute my code, I'm getting the output result equals to 30. And now the fun fact is I can do this thing again and again. So I'm just going to call my function 3 times, and now these 4 lines of code is going to execute 3 times. So what these 4 lines are just going to be executed 3 times, and we are going to get this output 3 times. So let me just show it to you. Okay, so I'm getting my output 3 times because I have called this function 3 times. Okay, so this is all about function. So function is basically we write our code, wrap it around a name. Okay, so the name is my first function, you can name it anything, and after that we can call our function depending whenever we want to need it. So there is little bit more related to the function that I'm going to cover, but before that let me just clear one thing. Like here we are doing some addition, multiplication, and I know it's very boring to do that. Like we are not here to just do these mathematics and all, but I just by these numbers and all, I'm just trying to pretend a real life situation. Suppose instead of this a plus b, suppose we have like a situation in our program where we want to like add, or like we want to like add the friend list of a 2 users. Okay, it could be a case you want to just merge the friend list of 2 Facebook friends in your program. Suppose you are a Facebook backend developer, so in that case you will create a function that is going to do that. Yeah, and I'm just going here pretending that you are doing that task. So it could be anything, like if you are just going to do like text calculation here, so you can create a function that is going to calculate the text for you. And it could be like it could be a function that is basically here I'm just trying to mimic a situation that may happen in a real life situation with some easy mathematics, like just to pretend. Okay, here are some cases, but you don't have to be very good in maths to learn programming, not at all. Even though I'm very weak in maths, but it doesn't even matter. So to become a good programmer, because only if you're good in addition and subtraction, it's more than enough. So this is about function, and I'm just going to move ahead with a little bit of more of the function. So before that, just let me know that is it clear for you to what we did in the function? Yeah, we could have used, Satyam is asking, we could have used where instead of let. So what Satyam is saying that in JavaScript we have multiple ways to declare a variable. So one way is to use let. Yeah, so let name equals to Sanjay. Okay, Sam, let's just go with Sam. Now we have one more way. So instead of let, you can just type where here. But now the problem is where may some, first of all, where was used some years before. So latest JavaScript basically enforce you to use let. Okay, let and const. So that's I'm just using let and const, because where and also you also try not to use where here. And what is the reason behind like why you cannot use where? So it's a part of some advanced JavaScript stuff, so I will try to cover that in this session. But if you are so interested in JavaScript, like if you want to explore everything about that, so you can just enroll in our the complete course. But I will try to explain that as well in this course as well. Yeah, okay. So which programming languages are teach in the full stack program? In the full stack program, you will be we will basically, we are not going to teach you. First of all, we are going to train you. So there is a difference between teaching and training. So we are going to train you in HTML, CSS, yeah, JavaScript, little bit of TypeScript, then React, okay, Node.js, Express, MongoDB as a backend server, then Socket.io, then also like some of the animation libraries like GSAP and all. So basically it's going to be complete full stack program, so job ready program. So you don't have to like wonder go here and there for job. If you just complete that course, you're job ready. So, and again, we are not going to teach you, we are going to train you. First of all, what is a function? Yeah, Hardik. Oh bro, it's like your पूरी रामायण खत्म हो गई, अब तो बोला सीता कौन है. Basically the thing is function is a small code for you. Yeah. So if you want to execute a part of code again and again, so you can just wrap that code inside a function. So create a function, just type function, name of your function. Okay. Then after that have these two brackets, and after that have these curly brackets, and inside these curly brackets you can just directly write your code, and this code will be get executed whenever you will call the function. And to call a function, just type the name of the function, and in our case the name of function is my first function, and just do these brackets. Okay. Now the thing is, you can also pass some values to a function. Okay. So now we are calling a function. Yeah. So now here the value of a is 10 and the value of b is 20, but you can basically pass the value of a and b from outside. To pass some values to a function, just go over here, and here you can pass some parameters. Yeah, you can pass some parameters here. Okay, so basically it's called arguments. So you can just go over here, and let me just type 100. Okay, 100. And now what you can do, let me just remove this here. Okay, so I'm just going to make a function which is going to just, okay, number is, okay, the number is. Now what I want to do, we can just grab this value here. So you can grab this value, and you can like have any name here. So I'm just going to type a here. Okay, so a. So now what is going to happen, basically whenever we are going to call this function, this a is going to have the value of 100, and now we are going to get the output number is 100. And now we can basically call this function again and again with some different values. So now I'm going to call this function with this, or you can pass anything here. Okay, so I'm just passing this also, so you can pass anything. Okay, and now if I just run my program here, so here I'm getting number is 100, number is 400, number is this, number is Sanjay, and number is true. Why? Because we are calling this function again and again with some different values, and you can pass as much as values you want, and these values will be grabbed here. Okay, so right now we have just passed a single value, so I'm just going to pass multiple values. Okay, and by the way, this value will be stored here, and you can use it inside a function. Okay, so now let me just pass some more values. So instead of just passing a single value, you can pass multiple values, just separate them by comma. Okay, so 200. And to accept the value, just have two variables here, a and b, and separate them by comma. So now if I call this function, the value a is going to be here 100, and b gonna store the value 200. So the order is very important, so always pass the parameters in a perfect order, like the order in which you are grabbing them. Okay, so always pass them in the specific order. Okay, now instead of doing that a plus b here, what I can do, addition is addition is a plus b, a plus b. Okay, 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 then multiplication, multiplication. Okay, I have to like fix my spellings a lot. Multiplication, and then division, then let's have what we say, greater than a. Okay. Okay, so now I am going to do a plus b, after that a multiply b, then after a divided by t, b, and after that a. Okay. So now what is going to happen, this function is going to be called with the value a going to be 100, b going to be 200, and all these 4 lines of code is going to be executed for the value a 100 and b 200. And I can just show it to you in the chat, basically in the terminal. Okay, so if I just execute my program, so addition of a plus b is 300, multiplication is 20,000, division is 0.5, greater than a, false. Okay, so you can do that as well. So I can just call this function again and again with some different values. So let me just type some different values here. Okay, it could be anything. Okay, now if I run my program, so we're going to get a lot of output. So we are getting a lot of output here, so because we are executing this function again and again. Yeah, so let me just remove everything for now. Okay, okay, do let me know in the chat like if you got this point, like how we can pass some values to a function. So it's basically called passing some parameters. Yeah, Okay. Yeah, I will cover some little bit of REST API in the tomorrow session. In the tomorrow session, we are going to cover the Node.js. So that's why I'm covering all the JavaScript that will be we will need to make a Node.js application. Can we? No, you cannot have spaces in between of function names, or in that case, you cannot have spaces in the name of variable. Yeah. Okay. Okay, very clear. That's great. Now the last part is remaining because only the function is the most important part. You must have to know like every its and bits of a function if you want to like know about Node.js and all. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, a function can also return something. Yeah. You can also return some values from a function. So if I just make a function sum, yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to have two values here, a and b, and I'm just going to do console.log of a and b here. Okay. And if I just execute my function to comma 5, and if I just run it, so I'm going to get output of 7. But what if you want to store this value somewhere? So in that case, function can also return a something, yeah, return a plus b. So what is going to return? It's a function is going to return a value a plus b. You can return anything. I can return hello, and you can return like anything, like a value, like this value or anything you want. So a function can basically return something. And now when you call a function, yeah, now when you call a function, okay, okay. So now when you call a function, this function will basically get executed. So this whole code will get executed and it will return this value. Yeah. And you can also create some variable here, result a plus b, and you can return a result variable. So I'm returning a result value. Yeah. So whatever is the value of this result, we are returning it. Okay. And now we can store this value somewhere. And to store some values, what we have, yeah, variables. To store some values, we have variables. So I'm just going to create a variable. Okay. So I have just created a variable okay here. Yeah. The variable okay is going to contain the value what is going to be returned by this function sum when it's going to be executed. So the okay will going to contain the value result. And what is result? So here in this case, a is 2, b is 5. So we are going to get the output of 2 plus 5. We are going to get 7. And after that, result is going to be equals to a plus b, which is 2 plus 5, which is 7. So result will be equal to 7. And after that, we are returning result. So basically we are returning 7 here, and this thing will be 7, and we are storing okay. So okay is a variable which will have the value 7. Okay. So if I just do a console.log here after that, okay. So I'm just logging out the value of okay variable. So let me just clear it. So we are getting the result was 7, and we are getting the 7 value. So now basically a function can, in a very nutshell, you can return a value from a function. That's all. You can pass a value to a function, and you can return something value from a function. So you can just directly return something here. Okay. Hello. So here I'm just directly returning a value instead of performing anything. I'm just only returning a value hello here. So now this function will return a value of hello, and okay will be equals to hello. So if I just execute this program again, so I'm getting okay hello. So that's great. Okay, so this is all about function, and now the last part is remaining in the function. That is the most important one, which we will be needing a lot whenever we are doing working with, especially with the Node.js, and it's called callback functions. So I'm just going to tell you that also. So first of all, just do let me that you understood the part where a function can return a value, because I find it like most of the student feel doubts in that case. Like whenever a function returns a value, they basically get annoyed like how it is working. Okay, Akhilesh is asking what is DOM. Okay, so I'm going to answer your question. What is DOM? So when you execute your JavaScript in the web browser, okay, not in this manner, not by using Node.js. If you just execute your JavaScript in the web browser, so let me just show an example. Okay, here we have our example. So here we are executing our JavaScript in a browser. Okay, so in this case, our JavaScript have the access to the HTML page. Okay, the HTML page on which this JavaScript file is running. So it have access to that. Okay, so it's called document object model. So every element of that HTML is stored in our JavaScript file. So let me just show it to you. Let's just give it a second, because this file extension is getting load. So I will cover that as well for you. So I'm just going live here. Okay, so this is our HTML page, isn't it? This is our HTML page. Okay, that's great. uh, okay, so this is our HTML page, and basically here I have like mentioned the JavaScript file here. So in this JavaScript file, if I do a console.log of document, so again, it's not related to our Node.js codes. Yeah, just because somebody asked this doubt, so that's why I'm covering it. Yeah, otherwise it does not impact anything related to our Node.js. Yeah, so if I just go over here, you can basically see this document is logged out for you in the console part here. And if I just hover over it, so you can see it's complete, it's our whole HTML file. So I can go over here. So basically you can manipulate it through our JavaScript. So you can basically have some data in our JavaScript. So if I can just manipulate anything in my JavaScript, in my HTML file, just by using the JavaScript. So it's called DOM. Yeah, DOM object model, the way in which our JavaScript stores our HTML file. Yeah, so the way by which it basically access the HTML. So it's called DOM. Yeah, document object model. So it's not necessary. If you don't know about DOM, it's completely fine for our Node.js tutorial. If we are not actually using JavaScript to build website, we are using JavaScript to make backends. Yeah, in this case, we are going to use Node.js to make some API and a server or something like that. So now let's move to the next step and just be focused, because it's going to be little bit difficult to understand in the first glance. Okay, so remember, basically we can create a function here. So I'm just going to create a function, and you can name this any function. So I'm just going to name it function my function. Okay, and now basically what we can do, you can pass a value here. So I can just do console.log of a. Okay, very easy stuff. So now what we can do, we can call this function my function 1, and now if I just execute this program, we are going to get the output 1. Not so difficult, but now the fun part comes here. Now you can pass any kind of value to a function, and it's going to be stored here. You can pass an integer. Okay, it works. You can pass integer. Okay, nothing difficult here till now. Okay, you can pass some different kind of variables like true. So I can just pass true here. Values, true is a value again. But now fun part is you can pass another function also. So if I create a function here again, so if I just create another function here, okay, let me just close it. Okay, let me, you can create as much functions you want. So my function 2. Okay, fun2. So I'm creating another function fun2, and I'm just logging out here fun2. Okay, I am fun2. That's great. And if I just call this function, if I just call this function 2, I'm going to get output, isn't it? I'm going to get output I am function 2. Okay, we are going to get an output I am function 2. Now the fun part is you can basically pass this function to this function as a parameter. So I can do this. Yeah, I can do this. Now this my function basically have the access to this function through this variable a. So now you can basically call this function through another function by using this variable a. So now the only thing that you have to keep in mind, that you can pass a function as a parameter to another function basically. And it's very I know it's going to be a little bit difficult for you to grasp at first sight, because in some other program language it may sound a little bit odd to do that, but it's a real thing that we do in JavaScript. That in JavaScript we have power that we can pass a function to another function very easily, Okay, so there is little bit deep knowledge behind that, but it's very important part of the JavaScript. So now what I can do, let me just keep it here. Okay, so if I'm just going to do the console.log of a, and the a is this function 2. Yeah, so the value I have passed here is the function 2. So if I just do execute the program, I'm going to get the output. See, the function 2. I'm just doing console.log of a here. I'm just doing the console.log of a here, and I'm getting function, just like it's basically telling us that the a is actually a function. The name of the function is function 2. So it's basically saying like what is the name of the function as well. So I can call this function from here. So as you can see, we are calling a function from another function, and that we actually passed it out from the outside. Yeah. So yeah, I know it's little bit like confusing. So I'm just going to give you a quick recap. By the way, you can see that we are getting the output here. That is the output of the function 2. Okay, and if you just see here, we haven't executed function 2 in our whole program, but we are getting this output. Why? Because we have passed this function 2 to this function, and this function got this value like through this a parameter, and we basically executed it. Okay, that's great. Okay, so first of all, just do let me know that how much you got this point. Yeah, it's a concept of basically closure as well. Yeah, so we have like closures also. So yeah, it's not actually the concept of closure. In the JavaScript, functions are treated as a value. Wherever you were trying your best, but the actual concept is in JavaScript, functions are treated as a value, or it's also called like first class citizen. So it's actually in a very basic terms, you can treat a function as a value. So here we are treating function like a value. So previously I was passing some values, 40, yeah, 100, or a value like true and false, remember? So now you can pass a function also as a function also here, because we treat function as a value. So if you can pass a value to a function as a parameter, why you cannot do it for a function? Because in JavaScript, functions are also values. That's why you can do it in JavaScript. Okay, and it's very important to know. Okay, Naveen is asking that if my function will be executed by itself. No, in that case, basically you are asking about the concept of recursion. Yes, we can do that. Yeah, so it will be recorded. So my function, suppose that it will call itself. So you can do that as well. So I will just show you how it is going to be done. Okay, so it will basically go through a continuous loop. That's why. Okay, okay, it's little tough. No, big, it's not tough. Basically, you can do it. It's your first time. That's why. So I'm just going little bit fast, and you can also rewatch this video as much time as you want. You can do that. Yeah, you can do that. Okay. Okay. That's great. Where it will be used? So basically, whenever our server is going to get a request, so we are going to execute a function for that case. So depending what is the request we are getting from the world, we will execute some different type of function. So that's why I'm just covering this concept like in so depth. Okay, we are calling one function and the result will be from the another function. Yeah, so basically this concept is called callback function. Yeah, you can and this concept can be used in callback function. So I can. Okay, okay, Sumit Kumar has asked a very good question, like what is the difference between parameters and argument? Okay, so let me just tell you what is, like, even though most of the developers also don't know about this thing. So if you just create a function fun, you can name this function anything. Okay, and if I just call a function, call this function, and you're accepting some yeah, a, b, c, and d. Okay, and let me just pass some values here, 10. Okay, okay, and if I just do, okay, so these are called the parameters. Yeah, these are the parameter, a, b, c, d are the parameters, and these are the arguments. So for the parameter a, you have passed the argument 10. So maybe I may be wrong in this case of argument, and like it's a case. One of them is called argument and another of them is called parameter. It's like yeah, थोड़ा सा confuse हूँ. बाकी it's the fact that I think this is parameter and this is argument, and you can just Google it. I will just do let you know that. So this is parameter. Yeah, actually होता same है, but the thing is this thing is called basically parameter and this is the argument. And behind the scenes सब same है, but the thing is you should know the proper terminologies, even though it's not going to impact a lot, but it's good to know. Yeah, you can flaunt it somewhere. So that's why. Okay, so I heard something about hosting. Yeah, Harry, I'm just going to cover the hosting part. Yeah, how you can take the user input. Yeah, we will do that as well. Sir, this is about front end or back end. Basically, we are covering the back end only. So you can just have like introduction to Node.js and JavaScript. Yeah. So it's JavaScript and Node.js essential. So if it was like our HTML, CSS and JavaScript essential, I would have just told you everything about JavaScript in the relation to the front end. But we are learning JavaScript in relation to the back end. By the way, there is not much difference. Like 95% things are same. Okay, you can see this code in the browser. Yeah, it's not a it's this code is not actually executing in the browser, so you cannot see this code in the browser. In the case of some regular JavaScript, like if you do this exact thing in the web browser, you could have done that, but this is not a browser thing here. We are not doing front end things here, we are doing the back end part. Okay, so by the way, somebody have asked a really good question, like what is hosting here. So like what is hosting, like I know that if you are coming from any other programming language, your mind is going to be blown. So what I can do actually, so if I just console.log a here, and if I just create, so in that case I have to like create this where in the case of a. So if I just execute the program, my program is not giving throwing me an error. My program is not throwing me an error. So, anyways, I'm not getting any proper output in the terminal, but the thing is I'm not getting any error. If you're coming from any other programming language, you may encounter this error a lot. So you cannot basically use a variable before declaring it. So here we are actually using a variable before declaring it. But in the case of JavaScript, what it can like it could done. Yeah, yeah, you can do this. And what is the thing, like JavaScript behind the scene will actually declare variables for you on the very top. Okay, without any initial value. So behind the scene it will do it for you, so that's why you won't get any error. The reality is little bit more deeper, but it's more than enough for you to know, like you can use a variable before even declaring it. And why it's not going to throwing an error, because JavaScript will actually do it for you. So at the very top it will declare all the variables that you have in your program, and it's not going to give any values to it, but it will just declare it on the very top, so you won't get any error. But it will work only in the case of var. In the case of let and const, you will get an error, and it's not a very good thing to have actually, because sometimes you may encounter you may have some unwanted bugs in this case, because this is the not thing that most programmer want to do. So you may have and you may encounter some errors, so that's why we don't typically use it. So don't try to basically ignore the var and just use let and const as much as you can. Okay, so this is like most of the basics that we basically will be needing in the Java for the Node.js. The JavaScript part is completed. But now let me just cover last two topics. So we have two more data types. Yeah, the one type is called array, and then we have something called object. So let me just cover that in just a quick. Yeah. So let me just create a variable called a. Okay. So a is a variable of data type number. Yeah, because it's storing a value number, and you don't have to specifically mention it like a is going to store a number, because JavaScript will automatically will just basically understand that. Okay, so the value of a is 10, so obviously it's an integer, so you don't have to do it here. So it's very easy for you to do. By the way, we have multiple types of data types. So another data type is let me just make right here number. Then we have something called string. So if you want to store some sentence or word like that, so in that case you can store in that string. Yeah, so we have a string here. And by the way, you don't have to put the semicolon at the very end. it will be get automatically will be inserted. Then we have boolean. Boolean can be only true or false. Okay, it can be true or false, that's all. And after that we have something called array and all. So let me just go to the array. Let array. So what is array? So array is a collection of values. So suppose you want to have a collection of numbers. So now we have a collection of numbers. Yeah, you can store as much as value you want. Yeah, and unlike any other programming language, you can just store anything in this array. Okay. So in the different program language, basically you can array is a collection of similar data type. Yeah. So in the case of C, you cannot or C++, also in Java, you cannot have an array of different data types. But in the case of JavaScript, you can have an array of different data types. So here I have created an array of number, and if I just do a console.log of array, so I will just get the output here. Okay, so I'm getting this array. Okay, that's great. Now you can have as much as values here and independent of the data type. Okay, so let me just type A, B, true, and 1 2 3 4. Okay. Okay, so here we are getting output. And now the thing is, you can, what actually you can do, you can add some values to an array. For that, just type array dot push. And if you want to push something to this array, you just do array dot push, and inside of this push you can type the next value that you want to push in this array. So I'm just going to push this value here. So if I just do a console.log here, let me just give a second, array. Okay, and if I just execute my program, as you can see, our initial array was this, and after that I just pushed some extra data to our array. So this thing is got pushed here. So if you are not if you're not able to understand, I'm just going to do it for you again. Here we are. So like previously the value was this, and after that I pushed this value to this array, and after that the value of array is changed. Like, okay, and you can find the length of array. So we have some functions that you can perform over an array. So there is something called function array dot length. Okay, so the name of the array and dot length. So it will just tell you what is the length of the array. So the length of the array is 5. Okay, so basically we have 1 2 3 4 and 5. Yeah, and similarly you can execute a loop over an array, and you can do like push and pop. And suppose if you want to if you just want to access a single value, you don't want to access the whole array, in that case you can access it by the index. So all the elements in the array have an index. Okay, so this thing is gonna have the index 0 1 2 3 and 4. So index will automatically always start from 0. Okay, so all the elements will have a unique index, and it will be like 0 1 2 3 4 5 6. And suppose I just want to access this value, yeah, 4 here, or suppose I want to access this thing. So in that case, you can access it by using ARR. Okay, so that you can name your array anything. So you can do list or like my array. Okay, my array. Okay, my array. And after that, just use this square brackets, and inside this square bracket you can type the index of whichever value you want to access. So I will just type 1 here. Okay, 1 here. If you want to access the B, I am just going to type the 1 here, because the index of B is 1. Why? 0 1 2 3 and 4. Okay, now if I just do a console.log of, yeah, so I'm getting B here. So here basically we have more operations that we can perform over the array, the looping and all. So that we will cover in the tomorrow's lecture. And tomorrow basically we will be developing our first server. So tomorrow, like the actual node will be starting from the tomorrow's session. So don't forget to join our tomorrow session. Yeah, and yeah, Suraj, we have a splice, then we have push, pop, pull. So we have many options that you can perform over an array. That is going to be I'm just going to cover. Okay, we explained. Can you do this where example gave us? So Naveen, yeah, Suraj, Ashut. Okay, okay. We cannot use variable before initialization. Yeah, we can. You can use a variable before initialization. Yeah, you can do that. Okay, and whatever doubts you're having, just note all of them down, and I'm just going to like explain you everything. I'm just going to clear all of your doubt. Okay, data combine, yeah, you can combine the data. So tomorrow we are going to have a data called object. So in that object you will be having all kind of data stuff there. Yeah, so yeah, okay, that's great. So we are out of time for now. So before ending my session, like let me just give you a quick glimpse about the course that we have. Like if you're like after this session, like after the this course, if you find this okay, so if you want to become a full stack developer, if you're getting some interest in the backend development or in the front end development, you can give us a chance to train you again, not teach you. We will just basically train you, and it's a complete job ready program. So just visit our website, and I hope that you are already signed up. Otherwise you won't get any certificate for this session. So just click over to this start learning, and here basically you will find our two courses: full stack web development program and full stack data science program. So if you can opt any of one of them, so both are top notch courses. And by the way, like all the instructor that we have in our team are basically the real developers, so we don't have any teachers and all. So we are like true developers who actually work on for the industry. So it will be a little bit fun and also exciting in the class. So okay, that's for today. We are out of time, and I hope you got little bit knowledge in the 12th session. Tomorrow we are going to work on a real project. Yeah, okay, that's great. And bye bye, and have a nice day.